Good morning, everybody. Good evening. Good afternoon. Wherever you find yourself in the wide world of motorcycling. Today I'm going to be discussing lane filtering. Is it worth the risk? What do I make of it? What do I think of it? Just a nice, wholesome discussion on lane filtering. It's a controversial topic, to be honest, because there's only a few states in the union that allow lane filtering. Texas is not one of them. That's where I live here in Austin. But I still lane filter. And I've gotten some flack for it before. People say, man, that's not legal. It's not safe. You shouldn't do that. I feel like over the last kind of 3 or 4 years I've been riding in Austin, it's become more accepted. And maybe that's just because we have a lot of California transplants and people from New York and other places in the country that maybe have more dense traffic than here in Austin, and they're just kind of familiar with bikes, you know, kind of coming and going. We also have a pretty big international community here in Austin. In downtown, I always hear, you know, British people, Australian people. I hear people from a lot of different places. So all that to say, I think the population specifically here locally where I live is more accepting of it, but it is not legal. So why do I still do it? So to me, lane filtering is a highly effective way of not only getting to where I'm going a little bit quicker. The time saved is not massive, you know, over a regular commute. Like, I've done my commute from where I live to the Yamanoob HQ in a vehicle, like a four-wheel passenger vehicle, a truck, right, whatever. You can take between like 35 to 50 minutes, right? On a bike, it pretty consistently takes less than 30 minutes. I can usually do it between 25 and 30. So a pretty reasonable time savings, but ultimately in the grand scheme of life, it's not gonna, you know, add years to my life. What it does do for me is it gives me optionality, right? What do I mean by that? I mean that when I'm in traffic in a car, I get so irate because I don't have a choice in traffic. I just have to sit there and take it, and it drives me insane. I barely drive my truck around town nowadays because it drives me crazy, no pun intended. If I'm solo traveling, for example, I'm not with my wife or my kid, I will always take the bike just because it at least gives me some options. If I don't have to go pick something up or run a bigger errand or whatever, I always take the bike. Because if you're stuck in traffic, let's say you got a huge long wait at a red light, man, you can just cut in front of everybody. You know, I say cut. You can get in front of everybody, reduce yourself out of the traffic there. It just makes everything so much better. It makes everything so much better to just slowly filter your way through traffic and get to the front and then go to your way. I find it much more calming to be in traffic on a motorcycle because I know that there's very few times where I can't do anything. I just have to grin and bear it and just sit in between a bunch of cars. And that brings me to my next point of why I still filter even though it's not legal. The next point for me is that it lets me be safer. Now, a lot of car drivers think that going between cars is really dangerous, and it can be, and there's nuance to filtering and splitting, which I'm going to talk about. What I do here in Austin is typically if everybody is stopped at a red light or it's standstill traffic, I will then filter through the cars in a safe way as possible, making sure that my closing speed between the other two cars that I'm going through is not more than like 15 or 20 miles an hour tops, right? I've seen footage of people in California, they do lane splitting there, and that's when everybody's moving, but then the bikes are moving through everybody, right? Personally, I feel like that's too dangerous unless you live in a place that it's a highly accepted and, you know, utilized practice. Like lane splitting in California, you can do it, it's legal, right? So everybody's expecting it. I personally would never do that here in Texas because if everybody's moving, let's say 40 miles an hour, and then you want to go 60 between everybody, you know, nobody's really expecting that here, and all it takes is just one car to do a last minute lane change and you are wiped out. You're about to have a really bad day. So to me, it feels much safer to do it when everybody is stopped. If everybody's stopped, there's a pretty low chance of somebody being able to, like, you know, cut at the last minute or flick between the traffic. And if you're not going that fast, if someone does end up doing that, let's say you're going 10, 12 miles per hour through all the cars to get to the front of the line, you know, if someone does cut out the last minute, yeah, it's gonna suck, but you probably won't die, right? And to me, I prefer that because let's say, for example, you come up to a red light and you just do the standard thing. Like, let's say you're just, like you're behind a truck like this, right? You're just stopped behind the truck. Whoever's coming up behind you, they're coming in at speed, and it's a low chance that they're going to rear end you, but it could happen, right? And so I like to mitigate the risk by filtering to the front of the line where somebody has already stopped. It's virtually impossible. Again, it's not completely impossible. Someone could decide to just randomly tap on the accelerator pedal and rear end you after they've already stopped the vehicle. But it's pretty rare. If somebody's already stopped and then they see you come in front of them, they're not just going to randomly rear end you. So to me, it's a safety practice too. I think that filtering in those situations makes a lot of sense because it keeps you safer. And again, it gives you those options. If you're stuck in traffic, if you have a dangerous situation, it gives you the ability to just filter through. Like I said, when I drive my car, it drives me insane that all I can do is just sit there. If I'm on a bike, particularly an adventure bike like my daily here, the Touareg 660, you can go over the shoulder, you can go over the curb, you can go over some grass, you can go over a median. Like, all of a sudden, everything becomes open to you, and traffic becomes a lot less rage-inducing. I find myself getting much more upset when I'm in a car than when I'm on a bike. When I'm on a bike, my knees are in the breeze, I'm feeling the sun on my back and my neck, and then if I get stuck in traffic, I know that I can cut through it, right? So that's why I still filter, even though it is illegal here in Texas. And I haven't been pulled over for it yet, which is surprising. I did get pulled over once for shoulder surfing, which is a slightly different tactic. I sometimes will shoulder surf. It is safer for me to do so. If the corridor inside of the traffic is really tight and narrow, I will jump to the shoulder and ride that to the front. Particularly in places that are a little outside of city center, there's hardly ever anyone standing or cycling or crossing the crosswalk, on the shoulder, so it's completely safe, and you have lots of visibility typically, so don't worry, I'm not about to run over a pedestrian or a cyclist or something. I'm a cyclist myself. I'm very cautious of people on the sides of the roads using our beautiful pavement in a multimodal way. I really appreciate seeing that. I want to see more people walking and cycling and doing their things, and just driving cars less. I just want people to drive their cars less. It would be great. So yeah, I shoulder surf sometimes, and the one thing I won't do is lane split here in Texas. If everybody's moving, unless they're going 5 miles an hour and I have a humongous block of traffic that I'm trying to get through, I will almost always err on the side of caution and just cruise along with everybody, man. If everybody's moving, nobody's expecting it. I do not do it here in Texas. I just think it's a really risky move to try to pull off something like that. It is a bummer because I'm pretty sure that Texas codified into law that filtering is explicitly illegal, which is so dumb. If I may take a moment to just talk about Texas politics, it's very odd to me that this state prides itself on being free and, whatever, and freedoms, all that. And yet every other week, the damn state government is trying to take away something from people, whether it's, THC, which I don't partake, but I don't want anybody to have that taken away from them, or lane filtering, or this or that. It's just bizarre to me that this is supposed to be a free state and a free country, and yet every other week I have to read in the news about how this damn state government's trying to do something to where I can't just live my damn life. I swear, every year that passes, I'm turning more into like a crotchety libertarian that wants to go buy land and go just F off. Maybe that's what happens the older you get, right? Yeah. I just want people to do whatever they want to do, and that also comes back to me and my filtering, right? Like, I am a safe motorcyclist. I practice good riding habits. Filtering is an accepted practice all throughout the world, right? Like, there is no consensus to say that filtering should be illegal. And if Austin traffic sucks so bad, which a lot of people think it does, I don't think it's that bad, but a lot of people think it's the worst thing ever. Get more people on bikes and you'll reduce the overall amount of vehicles on the road and have a smaller footprint, right? Come on. So I'm becoming a little radicalized with this stuff, boys. I am close to the point where I'm going to be like Louis Rossman and just show up to city council with a band of my local squids and be like, we need to get lane filtering legal within the city of Austin. Like, we need to do something about this because this is driving us motorcyclists insane. So maybe I should start a petition. You guys let me know if that's a good idea. We start a petition, we start getting the boys involved. Maybe we can make it happen, guys. Change has to start somewhere, right? I'm just so tired of not being able to use my bike the way it was designed to be used, and I see everybody else in the developed world doing. Look, I'm not saying that Europeans do everything right. They haven't even figured out how to properly size refrigerators, but I will say that for filtering, they've got that sorted. I'm very happy for them over there. But with filtering and splitting, I really think it all comes down to nuance, and a lot of it, you know, it's kind of like when you ride your bike in a fast, sporty way. It's time and place, right? I've noticed here, for example, when I'm out more in the kind of, you know, in the boonies, in the country, number one, there's less traffic, so it's not a big deal. But number two, people just are really not used to motorcycles lane filtering or splitting, and they tend to get more angry. I've noticed in the city center, where I have lived many times throughout the last 6 years that I've lived here, I had 2 different places right in downtown, and I always notice that when you're in a tight urban area, like, nobody is really going to get mad at you for being on a bike and trying to get to where you're trying to go. But you can't be egregious about it. That's the thing. I think a lot of videos that I've seen where people lane filter and something happens, I'm like, look, you were kind of being a dick, you know? Like, there's a way to do this where everybody can get along. You know, I always give a little wave or like a peace sign, you know, because I'm not an antagonistic person. I'm not a motorcyclist who's out there trying to like start fights. I manage my rage and my anger in more healthy ways than taking it out on random people on the road. Everybody's just trying to get to where they're trying to go. But I wish there was a kind of like information campaign to show people that it's like, number one, like, let's make motorcycle filtering legal. Let's allow people to do it. That'll probably reduce the number of traffic on the road, because if you have a bike, then you're highly incentivized to ride it to your commute for your work, because then you can have an advantage in traffic, right? That's a positive you know, incentive. And then the externality from that, to use an economics term, would be better traffic for everybody, right? But everybody's got to, you know, figure out that that's the new method. So maybe we pass it, then we put some billboards up being like, let them through, and it's a bike through in the middle or whatever, and try to tell people that it's perfectly safe and perfectly fine. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not too experienced with you know, politics or city politics or state politics or whatever. So if somebody wants to drop me a comment and kind of just, maybe this is something I can take on for 2026. I love having a big picture project to work on. It would be kind of cool maybe in 26 we start a petition, or we start some sort of action committee to try to get filtering legal here in Texas, to overturn that ruling that they recently did where you like are literally not allowed to filter, which is insane, because it used to be a gray area, but now it's not. So if somebody has experience in state politics or city politics, drop me a link down below. Again, maybe we can link up with Louis Rossman and we get lane filtering back on it. I don't know. I know he's an Austin local, so maybe we can do it. But boys, I'm gonna keep cruising here on the Touareg, get to where I'm trying to go. I hope you enjoyed today's little chat about lane filtering. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Love to start these conversations. Are you for lane filtering? Are you against it? I actually have seen quite a few Americans who are against it. If you are against it, tell me why. Why are you against lane filtering? I think that in all the states that have implemented it and done so safely, it works totally great, and it's a great thing that motorcyclists can do. So let me know down below. Would love to hear from you. Let's affect some positive change and have a fun time in the comment section debating the marketplace of open ideas, right? All right, boys, I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.